Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 83, the podcast about our lives and love of pop culture. I am your host, VyseTheBold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
PyroJackFrost.
Mr. Ryu.
And...
Luminaire.
Wow. So, yeah, this is a special live and gaseous recording of...
We're on Jupiter.
That would suck, being on Jupiter.
We weigh 7
Literally.
pounds.
And I am back from putting off the podcast. Shirking my duties like a pleb. But yeah, OldManStompy and Lotus Prince took it on the task last week, and I hope everybody enjoyed it.
I didn't.
Because you'll never get that ever again.
Just for that, we're kicking off the podcast.
But yeah, we have a special live recording here where we have most of the cast here, and just going to go through the motions here. Now, Luminaire is doing a nice little wiggle.
They can't see it, don't bother mentioning it.
So, I guess I'll start off by saying what I did since then. I, of course, was really happy because last episode was basically during the Super Bowl. And I'm a huge Philadelphia sports fan.
We're not just game nerds.
He's a fanatic, you might say.
Well, I mean, football is a game.
Shut up.
It has players and everything.
I don't know, like, sports fans are nerds, too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no. They go over stats more than anybody. Like, stats are ridiculous in baseball and football.
And their stats are real, too. Like,
Yeah.
so you can keep going with it.
Oh, yeah.
Fakes.
And they play D&D regularly. They play
Fantasy
football.
Fake sports
and
got me fired.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, in saying that, you know, I'm more of a casual fair weather fan. You know, I'm not like a huge football fan, but it's hard to ignore the excitement that Philadelphia was going through at the time. So, especially like if you enjoy that kind of thing any bit at all. So, I really loved seeing the Eagles win, and just especially, you know, for you know, basically the equivalent of the New York Yankees winning the Super Bowl again would be stupid. So,
I mean, isn't this this was their
very
first Super Bowl win?
Yeah.
their very first Super Bowl win, and it was really disappointing last time they went to the Super Bowl. One of our beloved all-time great quarterbacks, Donovan McNabb, totally choked and ended up like throwing up while he was was playing.
I saw a really funny thing on Facebook. Someone said that they had a joke like how you can tell a fake Super Bowl ring and it had like the eagle symbol on it. And he's like, now I can't use this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Duke Nukem Forever jokes. We need to talk about like Half-Life 3. Now Half-Life 3 is the de facto joke for that kind of thing. But
even Vladimir Putin has a Super Bowl ring now.
Even my girlfriend, who's not a sports fan at all, was really getting into it. She doesn't even know how any of the rules of football, doesn't understand it, but was like really getting into the game. And it was just a really cool thing to experience. So I'm glad I got to be there, and also like in a Philadelphia atmosphere, because I was at a friend's house who was also an Eagles fan. So that was cool.
So real quick, just in case you didn't know, the Putin reference, one time a Super Bowl winner went to or met with Putin, and he's just like, "Can I see the ring?" And he's just like, "Oh, nice." And then he just pockets it.
What?
And like
what are you gonna do about it?
He still has it.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by that.
That's freaking crazy.
Yes.
Well, and then they were looking in all of the bathrooms for him because he was Putin. Anyway, so.
I like bad jokes, but that was a bad joke.
That actually was a shitty joke.
Yeah.
Tigger was also there. He was looking for poo. Anyway.
That was a better joke.
That was less crappy.
We're gonna stick on this till we get it right.
I was workshopping it. But anyway. So I had a really good time, and I wanted to talk about a couple of the things that I experienced during those last couple weeks. I, of course, have moved in with my girlfriend, and we've been having like a really good time. I've been cooking for her, and it's been a really good so far. So far so good. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of the vinyls that I received recently. I finally completed the Streets of Rage trilogy. I got the Streets of Rage 3 vinyl, which is of course the most unusual of the series, but I've grown to love it. I didn't like it growing up, but I do like that music now. It's kind of experimental.
Well, you should get the easier Bare Knuckle 3 vinyl.
Yeah.
It's way more playable.
It actually comes with some really neat postcards that has all the bare knuckle covers on it, which is really neat.
Oh, nice.
Wait, are they the same guys who did the Street Fighter 2 like remastered like soundtrack with the vinyl? Or
I don't think so. I this is Data Discs, and they've been doing a lot of Sega games, right?
Yeah, they've got like I think it was Revenge of Shinobi. They got Shenmue.
Shinobi 3 as well.
They do Shinobi 3. I love Shinobi 3 soundtrack.
Because there was like Street Fighter 2 like complete like vinyl.
Yeah, there was like an Arcade
released.
Perfect.
It was Arcade Perfect, and it was like remastered. It sounds way better. And like they have the different like arcade boards versions of the Street Fighter 2
that
music,
is nuts.
so.
I heard of that. I don't know who did that though.
Apparently, like 3 or 4 of the songs in the Street Fighter 2 soundtrack are like total ripoffs of Top Gun songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I know.
And when you listen to the Top Gun soundtrack, you go, "Oh shit!"
Well, actually,
yes.
you know what that reminds me? Do you remember Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3?
No.
Well, Mr. Ryu, you do, right?
Oh yes,
That's
I remember that
probably and Luminaire. I know you remember Budokai 3, but that's probably the greatest Dragon Ball Z fighting game there is, like literally. And there's like 1,000 DBZ fighting games.
Well, you know, I
until
have
no longer.
No longer.
Well, the Arc Sys Works one might be better, the brand new one, but like Budokai 3 really does hold up.
I'm
even
sorry,
to a bunch of
You got Mr. Ryu
I
serious.
played Dragon Ball Fighters a lot.
Fighters.
Shit.
Well,
on Budokai.
Fighters is the new one, but Budokai, even among a bunch of newer stuff, holds up, except that everybody's a clone.
I like how you're arguing with the fighting game person.
No.
The game was cool as hell though for what it had to offer.
Lotus Prince. No.
No, but the reason
It's good if you're a scrub.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, the reason I bring it up though is that
good if you like Urban Champion.
The reason I bring it up though is that the PS3 remastered version has a radically different soundtrack, and it's because the PS2 release it turns ripped off of a bunch of songs from like popular music groups.
Oh
and,
wow.
Like you might not notice at first unless you might be like, oh, that one track sounds familiar, but if you actually do a side by side of like various tracks from various artists, it's pretty egregious.
It's really funny. If you played there's an Animaniacs game that was released on the PC years after the show was released. Yeah, it's like it's really funny because they were willing to pay for the original voice actors, but not for the theme song. So they make up like a stupid like rip-offy version of the soundtrack, and it's like basically the same song. It's just that they put space in between like the beat, like the major like phrases of the song. It's so stupid.
Like, and that's like what happens when you do that for like parody reasons. Like, I remember in one of the Ratchet and Clank games, there was a track that was supposed to be, it was with those robot pirates, so it was supposed to be highly reminiscent of Pirates of the Caribbean, but obviously not quite the same thing. But like, that's a joke though. Like, it's lame when you do that straight.
Yeah.
I get jokes.
But in going with my collection of Konami soundtracks on vinyl, I got actually Rocket Knight Adventures, which is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Really good stuff. It was on the Genesis, one of my favorite games of all time. Probably
Rocket
my
Knight's
top
that
5.
Game with like the
probably only bested in that same category by Gunstar Heroes. And
oh, that's right. Yeah, you have said that Gunstar is like your actual favorite.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that your favorite game should be something that is great, but also that you like emotionally resonate with. So that game is my favorite because number one, it's a fantastic game, obviously, but I think so. But it was also the first game I ever bought with my own money.
Now beat it on hard for the true ending.
That game on hard is.
Is it hard?
It's really the real way to play the game.
Yeah, I was at Vice's place. Like, he'd never actually beaten the game, and then I watched him actually finally beat it for the first time, and it was one of those bullshit like, well, for real though, do it on hard mode.
Oh, you mean Rocket Knight Adventures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Gunstar Heroes, Rocket Knight Adventures.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it has one of the best like Genesis soundtracks. For anybody who doesn't like the Genesis's like sound, this is the game that would change your mind if you were willing to like to start listening to Genesis, like really good Genesis
that and like
music.
Streets of Rage 2.
That and Streets of Rage 2, obviously. So it's a really good game. I actually happened to get 2 copies of the vinyl because I forgot I had ordered it before.
Typical Vice.
I thought it was gonna be like one for each hand.
Yeah.
One for each speaker.
The funny
you
thing
can
is,
mix it with itself.
the funny thing is, like, I went on the website that was selling it, and I checked like my previous order history. It wasn't there. It turned out that there were 2 websites that were selling this direct.
Oh,
it was
come
Ship
on.
to Shore and the Yeti.
Yeah.
And the Yeti actually puts out like limited edition versions. So I actually like have like a limited edition like Yeti version and like a regular
So
edition.
one to keep in your wrapping and one to actually play on your record player.
Actually, with vinyls, you want to take them out of the wrapping because
But then it's no longer mint in box.
Actually, it's more worth it for you to open them because the shrink wrap ends up damaging the cardboard over time.
Oh.
Justin, your joke is dying.
This sucks. Just like a wrapped vinyl cardboard.
So anyway, along with one of the copies of it, I also got Kid Dracula, which is a really obscure game. I can't believe they're actually like putting that out.
Yeah, wasn't that like that's like baby Castlevania, except that you're playing as Dracula?
Well, you're playing as Alucard, really.
Yeah, Alucard,
You're
yeah.
playing as
Got white hair.
Dracula Kun, which they changed the name to Kid Dracula to make it English friendly, but
And he's got one of those faces where like the eyes always closed, but it's like
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
little
And
smiley fangs. Yeah.
he has white hair. It's clearly supposed to be
Yeah, it's
Alucard. Before he really was Alucard, he's definitely supposed to be the son of Dracula, and probably his appearance in Symphony of the Night was like influenced by
This is before
by the
his brooding
chibi version
phase.
of him. Yeah,
Before his brooding teenager phase.
Yeah, he was too young to hate his father.
it's a great game, and I actually had the Game Boy game, which is the sequel. It's kind of like one of those sequels that's kind of a remake.
Like Evil Dead 2.
Yeah,
Let's get the
kind of
first movie out of the way in the first 5 minutes, and then
it's mostly the same game, but they added some stuff to it. So anyway, I got that, and just a couple games that I picked up and haven't played yet. I got Dundara. Actually, I did play this one. So this game is really neat. It's about a Brazilian mythological hero, and she's really neat.
Wait, what's this called?
Dundara.
Okay, I'm thinking something else because there's another like Brazilian like heroin game that was released on PC several years back. But
No, this was just released.
yeah, okay.
So this game is really neat. So it's a Metroidvania, but your abilities are extremely limited in terms of movement. You can essentially launch yourself off of floors and ceilings, but you can only land on places that have salt placed down.
Okay.
So it's really neat because you can't walk.
You have to like
You can only hop from salt spot to salt spot.
Okay.
So it's really neat. I think it's a really good twist on the Metroidvania formula, and it's mostly about exploration. There's some combat in there, but
you can't fight on holy ground.
yeah, it's exactly the opposite actually. But
You can only fight on holy ground.
yeah, basically.
You can only fight on places where ghosts cannot be.
Sacrilegious.
Yeah.
That's my kind of fun.
Yeah, and then they turned like the Highlander immortals into like aliens, so that didn't make any sense
But
that
then
they had a
retconned it
religious.
because that was like I think literally universally despised.
Well, they turned them into aliens, and then they retconned that,
Yeah.
and then apparently they talked about not fighting on holy ground was like an agreed upon rule.
Yeah.
But then later on, they found out they actually physically can't fight on holy ground. They get like they get attacked by lightning if they do.
But that like raises several more questions though, because it's like you're going to a different freaking planet. How do you know what places are holy grounds and for which group, and does that affect your own?
And why only Christians?
Wait, that's what I'm saying. You can't fight here. This is, from what I've heard, somebody else's holy ground.
None of it makes any sense. None of the mythology of Highlander is ever agreed upon or makes any sense.
Even in the first
movie,
movie,
does it matter?
It doesn't.
Even in the first movie, Sean Connery played a Spaniard,
and he who is meeting a Scotsman who is played by a Frenchman.
Yeah, that's so good.
And he's Egyptian.
Also, everything is
no, he was an Egyptian that went to Spain.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Spanish.
And also the entire soundtrack is Queen, which is amazing, but also like just another weird quirk of the movie.
Back when they did soundtracks for movies, they did also Flash Gordon. Flash.
Yeah, that like even if you didn't know it was Queen, you could guess.
And the inspiration for Nightman.
Yeah, the Nightman. Yeah, I had no idea at the time.
No,
that's
total Flash Gordon reference. Yeah. So anyway, and I picked up a couple of games that I didn't play. Because of what OldManStompy was talking about last episode, I had listened to it and I picked up Tales of Berseria because it was on sale for super cheap on Steam. It was like $15.
Yeah,
I've stopped buying cheap games on Steam because
yeah,
I'm never
I'm
gonna play them
as well.
I always just put them in my wish list, and then when I need to play a game, I'll find whatever game's on sale and I'll buy one of those.
But they might be never mind, go on.
But I also picked up Tales of Symphonia just because I've never beaten that one. And
I've always liked the Tales games, but like I don't even care that they're too anime. A lot of people hate them because they're too anime. But it's just I have so many other series I want to play. Like I can't concentrate on Tales either. Also,
I was thinking about picking up the other one that's on is Zestria, I think.
Zestiria.
It's Zestiria, but like I said to myself, a lot of people don't like that one. So like
you should probably pick up Tales of Symphonia 2 on the Wii.
It has a. Did you ever play Grace's F or see Grace's F?
No.
So Zestiria has. It's very slow to start out, and the story isn't particularly great. But it's if you want to play a game for a particularly unique combat system, it in Grace. It's like rather than HP SP system. As long as you have SP, magic, you can keep using tech skills.
Or I could just play Residents of Fate. Which is the most unique.
You could try making it past the first boss in Residents of Fate.
But instead, it has a really neat branching combo system, and it's all about exploiting enemy weaknesses. And it's the higher the difficulty you set. So,
gotcha.
in that sense, if you want a particularly good combat system.
I guess my feeling was that there are a billion Tales of games, and I don't want to play through the entire series, so I'm just going to play the best of.
They don't all have... They're like Final Fantasy, where they're not like... Not all of them are related to each other, so you could really just jump in with everyone you want to.
Then
that's what I was thinking.
Symphonia is fine, and I would actually recommend Exilia, because it also has a really good sequel.
Didn't you like Vesperia as well?
Vesperia was good.
I did.
And Abyss is supposedly very good.
Unfortunately, we still have
Abyss was okay. The story was...
Yeah.
The comic system I really liked in Abyss.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the 360 version didn't have like the party chat, which apparently
that was like
some
Vesperia.
Well,
that was like
some
skits.
Vesperia.
Well,
I didn't even realize it when I was playing it on 360.
Well, it was the same thing with Tales of Symphonia. There was a bunch of extra stuff in the PS2 release.
They released a PS3 version, which is the complete version.
Yes.
So the 360,
which had a new character too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was a 360 exclusive in the United States, so they never brought it here.
And they made a primary character from the first game playable.
Oh wow!
In the next one.
But anyway, so anyway, I picked those up just for future use. I'll probably never play them, but anyway. The final thing I bought was Final Fantasy 12. I've been wanting to buy it.
The definitive version.
I thought it was hilarious.
Zodiac Age,
I think it's the same one that I have on PS4. I just find it funny how...
I got the PC version.
I'm just saying, I find it funny how, like, I guess probably a month, or a few months, so it wasn't that long. It was pretty long ago, but right after I beat 12 on PS4, it comes out on PC. I'm like, God damn it, I was going to want it on PC anyway. What the hell?
As Yatta would say, the real version.
Although I think it's probably the same version that's on PS4, so it doesn't really
it's probably
matter,
really close.
That's why I'm waiting on like 15 on PC.
It's out.
Yeah, it's already out.
I'm pretty sure it's out. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the thousands of DLC.
I'm eventually gonna buy them all on PC anyway. Like, yeah. So.
Your Cup of Noodles DLC.
Oh no, that was for Dissidia.
Oh.
I got that.
Was it a noodle hat?
No, it's just a new costume for Noctis.
Nice.
The Royal Regalia costume for Noctis.
To get the full canon, you need to have Tekken 7 Noctis.
So
really milking 15.
So 2 more cast members have joined the party. We have Minty Mitz and OldManStompy.
Decrepit man tramples.
Everybody.
So Mitz, did you turn on grit?
What grit? I don't
True
know what you're
grit.
talking about. I don't need to take off 20% damage.
Stupid 14-year-old.
Howdy, people.
I would get it if I played.
Yeah, so this is a live broadcast, so of course we have guest stars going in and out of the room here.
Like you do.
And now
Yeah.
for the live performance.
Here we go!
It's not live at all, it's Miku.
Hang out, get have fun. Wait a minute,
It's pre-recorded and pre-rendered.
The podcast
I will
format does
fight
not
you.
capture the dirty look that Mr. Ryu just gave. Which I feel is the signature moment.
You know when you scream encore, that's just somebody pressing a button.
Yeah.
I will fight you. I will fight you.
On the side of the street. Hello.
So,
Snacks back there.
I will give a quick present to OldManStompy. I was thinking of him.
A present.
A present.
Oh God, I want that.
It depends. Aw.
I want to try
It's
that.
nice, actually.
It depends.
So it's
I should go get it.
I don't know if this was discussed earlier in the podcast, but it's a box of the Super Mario cereal.
You get one for yourself?
I bought one for myself.
Because you know it's an amiibo.
Yeah, that's exactly why I bought it.
So
That's funny.
the joke is that I don't take my amiibos out of the box.
Oh.
In this case, the
I was
the
thinking
box.
about just giving you the cereal,
The
like the
cereal.
bag of cereal.
That's great.
It's like I took it out of the box for you.
That's okay. The box is empty.
Yeah.
That was a great joke.
But yeah, my
Thank you.
my ShopRite happens to be the only place I've ever seen it over in Westchester.
I actually kind of
Pennsylvania.
don't want to open it and eat it now.
I want to try it eventually.
But yeah, I will pick up some more if you want it.
It tastes like coins. Bricks.
salty milk.
Oh god. Why?
But anyway, I really wish it just gave Mario like a big bowl of cereal and he just ate it whenever you scanned it. That's really and had him in his bathing suit and captain's hat, just like eating
The
cereal.
Wario Land games already have Fat Wario, which you can. I mean, Wario's already pretty fat. You can get fatter by eating a piece of cake. Like
Oh,
in the
yeah.
games. So like it makes sense that they would. That's already part of the Mario canon.
Yes,
is getting
the
fatter
secret Mario
and eating
canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peach has only been kidnapped once.
And people are saying like but Mario Run is
Miyamoto's
his turn,
headcanon.
is when he starts to turn. He's taking over the Toad Town now, so
Right.
that's the turning of when Mario is turning to Wario.
Oh, and I did want to add to Jess's question from last week.
Oh, if you
what we
drop
would drop,
loot.
the loot we would drop, it would be 40 cartridge-only copies of 4 Heroes of Light.
40 copies. That's
That's
four
as many as
tens.
4 tens.
That's terrible. Just like the
That's-
I was gonna say just like 4 Heroes of Light.
Not only that, but you're stuck with a cartridge-only DS game.
Yeah.
they're not market tradable either. You're just stuck with them in your inventory.
Yep.
Nobody wants them. There's no resale value.
I don't remember. Did we all answer this question? What
No.
would we drop as
So,
a
OldManStompy and
It was
Lotus
just
did.
yeah.
Lotus and I
just
had it in last week's podcast, so if you're interested in answering the question, now's your time.
Yeah, what kind of loot would you drop, Minty Mitz?
I don't know. What's my common drop? Hair.
It's-
Uh-oh.
That's pretty good actually.
Common drop hair. Rare drop
More hair.
Tangerines.
bundles of hair.
A wig.
I guess uncommon drop would be bubble tea then.
I drop
Bubble tea?
bottle caps.
Oh, like Fallout.
Beer.
So anyway, if anybody else wants to talk about their week here, go right on ahead.
Okay. I'm next to Andrew, so Vice, so I'll go next.
You came
No,
to
Start
no.
the podcast over.
Oh,
Yeah.
Terrible mistake. It's not
They're
like-
gonna Google Andrews and find me.
It's not like we haven't explicitly answered this as a question.
Yeah, I know.
previously.
Months ago.
In Corrective Consciousness
Not only
canon.
that, but like on Facebook, I share under my real name.
They accidentally autofills Andross, so he's a flying panicle head in
Yeah.
space.
He's a
Uncle
badly rendered
Andros!
15 FPS.
Simeon.
So
Moon
the
7.
I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. I played the original Mega Man for the Game Boy.
Oh,
and, like,
God, that game's hard.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's
Dr. Wily's Revenge,
Dr. Wily's Revenge.
Yeah.
I did manage to, like, finish it in one sitting. It's not as hard as I remember. It's actually, like, Mega Man games are among the easier, like, quote-unquote Nintendo hard games.
Okay.
Just because, like, they have a structure and they're
meant
boss
to be
weaknesses.
beaten, too.
Yeah, they're intended to be beaten. They're not usually, like, super unfair, and, like, a lot
Ninja
of...
Gaiden's the worst,
Well,
though.
Ninja Gaiden...
Yeah.
So, like, those games, they assume that you know where all the power-ups are in the stage and that you know how to use them. Like, Castlevania is the same way. But Mega Man, they have to assume that you go into every level in the game with just your Mega Buster. So every level has to be beatable with just the Mega Buster.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess the game is built around the rock paper, so it's like built-in exploits in terms of being boss, as opposed to maybe you actually need a glitch to get past a certain enemy.
So like when Mega Man 8 came out, and that one actually assumed that you beat the first 4 Robot Masters and then had those weapons to like get through the next level.
That's right.
Really
you can only fight 4.
You're required to do that, and it really messed me up.
What if you just used the pat? No, you could. That wouldn't work.
In Dr. Wily's Revenge, I remember that being really hard for me because it's also like the proportions in Game Boy games are also a little weird in that they take like the characters take up too much real estate on screen, so it makes the games harder than their like Nintendo counterparts a lot of times unless they're designed properly.
That is accurate. Quickman is much harder to fight because I mean he's all about dodging his like. So the fight itself like technically is not that difficult because in the original Mega Man 2. His room was really hard to navigate. It had a lot of obstacles in the middle. But Quickman in the Game Boy version, he's fought in a flat arena, but he's huge. Like, the characters take up so much space in terms of a proportion of the screen that he's hard to dodge just because there's just not a lot of real estate to work with. Yeah,
in Super Mario Land, they actually like tailored the game for the screen size for the real estate that it took up. And you know what? 6 Golden Coins really did a really exceptional job, I think. But they made the character of Mario look good, like really good, even though he's technically compromised. There are pixels missing from like the grown up version
compared to the original Super Mario Land, where he's just like a tiny sprite, recognizable as Mario, and like the fireballs or little super balls.
Yeah, Batman's like that as well. The Sunsoft Batman game for the Game Boy, he's like a really tiny Batman, but like it works.
You also have to get screen scroll speed correct. It's like because if it is cramped and you're going too fast, you can't react to anything in time. Whereas I felt they had a good. You could see things coming, and really there wasn't any enemy that was difficult to.
Yeah, not only that, but with Game Boy, the screen scrolling had to be slow in order for it to avoid ghosting, which was a big problem with the original LCD.
And even in Dr. Wily's Revenge, that's definitely an issue. There's some oddball-looking sprites, even if it's the only other enemy on the screen besides Mega Man.
Wow.
Bit of trivia, segue into the only other thing I really want to talk about this week. So, you know, the Mega Man games, they take place in the year 20XX, which is the exact same year that Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out.
Well, the Monsters Inc. world just got revealed.
Yeah. So the reason I want to bring this up is because my mobile game of choice is Final Fantasy Record Keeper, and they announced that they're bringing the Kingdom Hearts characters.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Which is interesting because it's a global, like a universal event. It's really rare that since the Japanese client for Record Keeper is 6 months ahead of the global client, usually we get events 6 months later than they get in Japan. So everybody's getting this event at the exact same time. That means we're getting like characters and items that are like 6 months worth of power creep ahead of what the current gacha banners are.
When is the event happening?
The 22nd of February. Are you interested?
No, I'm just wondering if this is like going to be connected to a release date or something.
Well, it's connected to the Unchained Kai, the other Kingdom Hearts mobile game.
Yeah.
So the only other time they did this, where they released an event like worldwide, was for Heaven's Word, and it actually really messed up the global Record Keeper metagame.
Is it Heaven's Word or Heaven's Sword?
Heaven's Sword.
It's an A word, so it's gonna be Heaven's Sword.
It's the Heaven's Ward.
S words for 500.
No, it's the best weapon in the game, the Heaven's Sword.
The Heaven's Sword. The Heaven's S word.
Yes.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be exciting when it comes out.
And Dark Eyes get the Hell Sword.
So stupid.
I have to really quick let everybody know that I did play a mobile game, new mobile game.
Ugh.
I played.
One of us.
Casual.
It's not a.
Was it a
bullshit game? Actually, kind of. So it was Space Invaders versus Arkanoid.
Won.
Which is kind of cool.
Who won?
Essentially, there's no ball, like an Arkanoid, you reflect the shots of the Space Invaders back at them.
That's clever.
And you have a time limit. So it's not about losing the ball or losing the shots. It's about killing all of the enemies within the time limit of each stage. So I actually really like it. I recommend it. It's a really cool twist on the formula.
Is it a mobile game in the sense that it happens to be playable on your phone, or is it a mobile game like we think of as mobile games, which are
it's
like
not a mobile
services?
RPG. It's not a mobile RPG.
Okay.
It's on Android and Apple iOS devices.
Okay, so it just is a game that you can play on your phone,
which is a mobile game.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, my
it's my
3DS games are mobile games. I can take them around.
Those are handheld games.
No, I would have referred.
They're mobile. I usually sit in my chair and play, but I could walk around.
I would have referred to it as a 3DS game if it was a 3DS game.
Tomato, broccoli.
I mean, they're called
tomato, potato.
I know.
Like if you're reading that song, like you don't know what they're getting.
Yeah, you're.
What is the song about?
Let's call the whole thing
That's what
off.
tomato.
Wait,
Let's call the whole thing off.
I say neither, and I say neither.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just reading it.
Yeah.
Same with apples and bananas. It's just and then Oh no. Then it changes. Go on.
Opals and bananas.
Oh, yeah.
Opals and bananas.
Opals and bananas.
But anyway, let's move on. I guess Minty Mitz is next.
Oh man, I'm put on the spot. I don't remember what else I did this week.
That's the spot you're in.
Well, this is the corner spot.
Yeah.
Still the spot
It's
you're
choice
in.
real estate.
It's supposed to be the hiding spot of this.
The hiding spot.
The hiding spot.
Well,
The
we
corner
still see
hiding
you.
spot.
Yeah.
But what did I do this week? I started playing Dark Souls again.
Hey.
Is it the
The
Dark
first
Souls?
one?
Everyone's
Oh.
starting that when they HD.
Is that the Dark Souls of video games?
It's the Dark Souls.
Is it Dark
It
Souls
makes
hard?
my soul dark. That's what it is.
I actually
Is it the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy of RPGs?
Oh my god.
we actually brought the I actually brought the Dark Souls board game to play it, so I had kickstarted it. So we'll enjoy that and react
If the
to that
rules aren't
at a
too
later
complicated.
date. Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh,
might be
well,
Dark
for
Souls
Dark
hard.
Souls 3, I decided I wanted to replay it for the purpose of finding out how sorcery works. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would say sorcery is not at all superior to like melee classes and everything, but like I just wanted to try a run where it's just like I'm just shooting everything from afar.
Wait, have you ever played Demon Souls?
I have not.
Because sorcery is broken as hell in that game.
Yeah,
I
you
was-
want fire spells
I
and
was,
stuff like that.
Yeah, I was watching a speedrun on Games Done Quick of like it might have been Dark Souls 1 or 3 or something. No, it was Dark Souls 1 because the guy said he was speedrunning Demon Souls, but he was talking about Dark Souls 3 and he said if anybody is wondering like why magic is so like weak in Dark Souls 3, basically this is why. And, like Demon Souls is like the stupidest
if I'm not
like
mistaken, even in Dark Souls 1 by the end of the game, like magic is absurdly overpowered.
yeah.
As long
But
as
in
you can-
Demon Souls you have a bar. Like in Dark Souls, at least 1, I haven't played 2 or 3, but Dark Souls 1 you can use each spell X amount of times before going to a bonfire, before running out. But in Demon Souls, you have a magic bar, and you can use items to restore your magic.
So three goes back to that.
3 goes back to the
does
bar,
it?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in Demon
And-
Souls, your spells could get stupid.
And you know how in like they have the Estus flasks?
Yeah.
In Dark Souls 3, you can determine like let's say you have 10
can
flasks, you can
allot.
determine a lot how many you want to be Estus and how much you want to be magic.
Oh, wow.
So you could say like, I only want 1 Estus flask and 9 magic, so I'm just gonna blast
Okay.
people.
Because in Demon Souls,
Which
you
makes sense 'cause
had...
you have healing spells too.
Yeah, because in Demon Souls, you had a bunch of healing items, and you had a bunch of magic restorative items. And they did take up very small amounts of weight. Like, it wasn't just what you equipped in Demon Souls, it was just anything you had on you contributed to your encumbrance. But you could heal and restore magic forever in that game. It was really absolutely insane. So you could just run through, like, an entire world with just sorceries.
I would say if you want a game that's most fun to play Magic, it would be Dark Souls 2, though, because I think that's the only one that has dark hex spell, like classified as at the time.
With dark magic?
Yeah.
Well, Dark Souls 1 DLC has dark magic,
3
but
had
I don't know if
some.
it counts as
But
dark
one-
or if it's part physical or what.
Well,
I think it's all dork magic to me.
but they had some that were, but there were a lot of, and you could even dual. They had stances so you could like dual cast certain spells as well. But then out of nowhere, one of the DLCs, the Sunken King, all the enemies had like 90% magic resistance out of nowhere.
No.
So people actually had to respec their character.
That
Personally,
sucks.
just for that section of the DLC alone.
Well, kind of dumb.
Yeah. In Dark Souls 1 DLC, all of a sudden dark magic became a thing, and there weren't too many enemies that used it, but if they did, even if you blocked it with a shield, it had like a lot of penetration, which was pretty rough, because like dark magic was like, I think they said like, again, part physical. It was like heavier magic, but also there's no shield that fully resists magic, so it was doing like a weak sword hits amount of damage even when blocking with a great shield, and it was like, what is this? So like I had to learn how to, God forbid, dodge like good players of the game do.
Well, I know from watching you play God Hand that when you learn the enemy patterns, you're quite good at dodging.
Eventually it does get good, but I'm like, I have a great shield, so I'll use it. Like when I play Bloodborne, I'm gonna get good at dodging, because if I don't, then I just can't beat level 1.
That's part of it.
It's part of the integral part of playing the game.
Even with some of the hard DLC bosses, like if I don't have enough stamina to tank their combo, I'm going to have to dodge at least this part. So I was able to do that, so I can learn. I just kind of choose not to.
In Dark Souls, there's a lot of different... there's the intelligence stat, which only applies to magic, and then there's, the faith that applies mostly to whole... Yeah. And then, Dark is actually, the average between the two stats.
Oh, that's different.
And some certain spells differ, and then there are some, magic weapons you can have that are... dependent on either your faith or your intelligence stat, so it can do physical, sword damage based on your magic stat. And
so I have a question, and since you mentioned Dark, what philosophically does Dark embody in the Dark Souls universe? Because it doesn't have a traditional good.
At least in dichotomy. 3, it seems to be going more towards a Lovecraftian kind of seeping dark horror kind of thing. Yeah.
In Dark Souls 1, it's like the darkness is spreading and taking over this town in the past. And so, I
wouldn't say it's cosmic,
darkness.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's really just more as the lack of fire. It was either the Age of Dark or the Age of Fire.
Yeah.
The Age of Dark was
you learn
specifically the lack of there being.
I wouldn't say it's cosmic horror, but I would say it's a similar sort of idea.
Lovecraft is in Bloodborne, not Dark Souls.
No, I know that, but I'm saying the ideas in Dark Souls are still Lovecraftian without the cosmic portion of the horror. It's still weird entities that are dark horrors, dark magic.
So, Minty Mitz, have you been playing all of the Dark Souls games, or did you start with 3?
I started with 1.
Okay.
I beat 1 twice.
1 is so good.
Beat it twice, and then I decided that I didn't want to play Dark Souls 2 for some reason, because I lost a copy, and I made somebody buy that copy again or something.
I wouldn't want to play a game I don't have
And then
either.
I lost that copy too, so I started on Dark Souls 3.
Wait,
what?
I don't know where it went.
Okay,
And
I'm not doing
and then
it
Dark
this time.
Souls 3
Fool me
came
2 or
out.
more times.
So you're just losing games?
I'm just losing games because we moved several times.
She lost her copy of Demon Souls too.
She's looking
There's a Demon Souls 2?
Get out of here.
Nice.
There was, but she lost it.
Yeah.
So all of you who
now nobody can play it.
Too.
Now nobody can play it, and it was the best in the series.
Well, you can at least get the Scholar of the First Sin edition if that wasn't the one.
So I will say that so I have another copy of Dark Souls 3 now because it's the free unlock for the Humble monthly bundle for the next month.
Oh, nice.
So anybody who really
can't
wants
lose that.
Yeah. Well, she could lose my account information, change all my Steam.
Yeah, I accidentally did 10
delete.
steps to make it unrecoverable.
I am not a vengeful person that would do such a thing. Look at this innocent
Just
person.
one that loses things.
I wanted to. I've beaten Dark Souls 3, and I was on the way to getting one of everything, but it's one of the few games that doesn't cloud save on Steam, and so when I had to reset my computer, that data was gone.
You just lose everything.
And same with the first one actually, but the second one I backed up, and I've tried playing it again because afterwards the DLC had come out, so I wanted to start. So I'm like, all right, I'll start again from the beginning and try to get up towards where the DLC in again. And I had 2 more hardware failures at this time.
That's ridiculous.
I can't bring myself to play the beginning of that game.
I know what you mean.
Luminaire, maybe you should just stop pouring, Dr. Pepper all over the computers.
Like,
it doesn't make them go faster. I tried to tell you.
It wasn't
like
Dr.
no,
Pepper.
that was you in Baja Blast. I'm so
I will
sorry.
say that's kind of why I never finished 8. I mean, this has only happened once.
Final Fantasy 8?
Final Fantasy,
Souls
sorry.
8.
Final
Yeah.
Fantasy,
Dark Souls 8,
my
God help
head.
us all.
Final Fantasy 8 because when I was younger, my brother and I had...
I remember this.
It was Final Fantasy... PlayStation 1 had the memory cards. They had 16 blocks of data.
15, yeah.
Whatever the number was.
I'll get into that for a reason.
But
yeah.
my brother and I found we were a GameStop or something. Oh, there's this mystical one that is a Mad Catz one that could hold 128 blocks of data on it. And we're like, oh, we got to get this. You have to like go through pages to get it. And I don't know if it's because I just couldn't find it, or like when you shifted too many pages, it would just delete your other data. I was like halfway through 8.
It's just shitty.
I was halfway through 8. I went to like load my game, and I'm like, "Where's my save?"
That's terrifying.
And then I'd never played 8 after that, basically. So I'm like, I don't feel like playing this again.
So I actually lost the memory card that had my Star Ocean 3 save on it.
Oh,
that
sucks.
I
was like, I was like 90% of the way through the game. I was absurdly overpowered.
That's a long
easily
game.
Beaten the final boss. I had all these like obscure achievements in the game. I just lost the memory card.
Do you have the rabbit statue?
I might. Oh, the bunny statue, the one that I brought up during last week's podcast.
Yeah, we actually talked about that.
I'm sure I did, but that wasn't that hard to get. What was hard was there was one part where you had to fight something like 500 battles in a row without getting a critical hit against your team, and I did that. And,
freaking nuts.
But the world doesn't know it now.
And it was good for level grinding, because if you do that, you maintain this bonus that carries over.
Yeah,
that's
from battle to battle.
Well, it turns out that the game is a video game, so it doesn't count anyway.
That was weird.
Well, I got you all beat. I have one of the original fat PS3s that could play PS2, so I had all my data transfer, all that. So, and then when that yellow lighted to death, apparently, eventually, 5 years later, I have no PS2 data for anything, and that includes like almost getting those goddamn mascot skins in FF10-2, which I tried like 2 to 3 times.
The worst I ever had was I got all 151 Pokemon in Pokemon Yellow. I was playing it via the transfer pack on Pokemon Stadium, and one time I think I was trying to transfer something or save or whatever, and I think my system was borking, so it just like wouldn't load, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So like it was wait forever with no results, or just turn the damn system off. I turned the system off, and my Pokemon Yellow data was deleted. So like I already completed the game, but like
I don't believe
if I wanted to use anything for Pokemon Stadium, it was just not going to happen.
Prove it.
So I did this the original Final Fantasy when I was like 10 or 11, however old I was when that game came out.
So like 50 years ago.
Yeah. Well,
back when he was a young man.
The 30th anniversary of Final
He was
Fantasy.
playing it on the stone walls of
with an abacus.
Sticks together to
Had to chisel my save.
So I made it all the way to the last boss and I died. And when I restarted, I don't know what I was thinking. Like you'd think it would be almost impossible to do this, but I actually manually deleted my game save.
What? By accident?
I believe it's
I want to
possible.
say it was by accident. I don't know how I managed to do this. Like, you think that, like, I'm a relatively smart person. I can read,
He was a speedrunner. The run was ruined, so he's like, start over.
I think I accidentally hit, like, new game or something. And like, you think that you could save yourself, and I'm like, I'll just turn the game off, because they always say like save the game before you turn off, and I just like walk into an inn and save the game. I was like, well shit, there's only one save file, now it's gone forever.
Yeah,
that
and
sucks.
so like I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not doing this grinding piece of shit again.
Did that
so I
to,
played it again like years later. And I didn't do
Brave.
the exact same thing, but then I died during chaos and the save file corrupted, so I didn't.
No.
So
You were not meant to defeat
I
the
actually
final
was
boss.
not leveled up high enough to fight chaos when I got to him.
right.
And there's nothing you can do at that point. You can't. You literally can't do anything.
You can't leave. You can't leave the
Yes.
final
Oh
dungeon.
yeah, no,
Yes.
that happened to me when I was playing Baten Kaitos. Because in Baten Kaitos on the GameCube,
Oh,
there
just the Giacomo, the fight against the 3.
yeah, fuck that. Yeah, there are two kinds of save points in the game. They're like these flowers that open up. There's red and blue, and in the blue ones, you're allowed to like warp to this church where you can spend your experience points to level up. The red ones are just saves, and there's one part in the game where you enter this dungeon, and if you save in it, then you have to beat the dungeon to leave. Normally, you could just walk out of any level you go in the way you came, but this one the only way out is through. But the save point was red, so if you're not leveled up, then too bad. So I got to the boss and they beat me, and I'm like, I can't level. Like I can get as much experience. I can get experience until the game breaks, but I can't level up. So it's just I guess I'm screwed now.
And
so
also,
from then on,
yeah,
whenever I would play that game, I would have like I would make 2 save files before entering it. Like, but I shouldn't have to do
also
that.
one of the hardest boss fights in the game.
It's
too.
pretty rough.
That's
like
a good topic
if
in general. Built-in like shit, like things
Yeah.
that have to make
like
you
if
save.
you're playing like on pace, like if you're not grinding, like if you're about where you should be, that boss is like a little too hard for you.
A similar instance. I mean, I wouldn't say it's that similar, but in Final Fantasy Tactics, there's the one area that I always stop playing is there's an ambush that happens on your team at like if anyone's played Tactics.
Archers.
Oh, it's not archers, but it's at the execution grounds, and there everyone like takes off their robes, and you realize there's some archers, there's some mages, and it's the hardest battle in the game. So it's not that you can't grind, but areas close off like in the map, so you have to. There's like 3 areas you can walk between. So their chance of getting to random battles is so low to begin with, and it's just so monotonous, like clicking here, clicking here, and it's just, you can't really level.
The second time I got to that, I had the same problem as you the first time. It's quite difficult. But the second time, I actually, like, level grinded. I was so pissed off at that battle, I level grinded until my Black Mage had Flare, which he could only cast once because his level was low, but his job level was high enough that he could learn Flare. And I one-shotted Gafgarian.
Yeah.
And, like, once he's gone, it's still pretty hard because you're outnumbered. It's one of the only fights in the game where you're, like, deliberately...
You're outnumbered, they have the height advantage, it's...
Yeah. So I just like one-shotted him, and then I just put the Black Mage in the back and just like poke people with a staff.
I think the first time I beat the game, I over-leveled just because I realized the trick with Ramza, he has an ability that lets him cast speed up on himself. So eventually you cast speed up on yourself so many times that he gets 3 turns in a row.
Oh no.
And you just keep casting speed up on himself, so he's just like
there's a fight in the middle where Ramza has a duel, and then after that you have to fight like a climax boss where he turns into a demon. But that one, the second part, is with your whole party. So the first part, I did that. I made him get 50 speed, and then he ran around for a while. And there's another one that ups his attack power. So I just ran around and used that, and then I just one-shot the entire...
So what I was saying is I used that trick to level up enough to beat Gafgar, that whole annoying battle the first time. But the second time I played, I'm like, I'm not going to use this cheapness anymore. And I ended up losing. I'm like, I don't want to do
this. It's a hell of this. Yeah.
So we hijacked Minty Mitz's segment twice.
We do that all the time. I don't know if you realize.
Yes, but I would like to move on here. Now, did you do anything else other than Dark Souls, or want to talk more about Dark Souls now that you have the floor?
I think we talked too much Dark Souls, but I also play Final Fantasy XIV crafting, and always on a crafting class before going into combat, which really irritates my teammates.
Speaking of wedging yourself in a situation where you can't win, we did a fight where she was the tank, a dungeon where she was the tank, and like she was missing like one important piece of equipment for her set.
No, she was missing several.
Well, so she had like half the set that was correct. And so we went, it was me and Mr. Ryu and her sister. We went as a team, and we got to the very end of the dungeon. And she was missing like just enough of her set that it could basically one-shot her.
Wow. So she's the tank. They're like one of the most important. I'm like, why is your armor level 58 in a like high-end 60 dungeon? How'd you get? Oh, you got in because your accessories item level lets you go in.
Lets you go.
So then you just get one-shotted, and we have no chance to like beating that one boss.
So Mr. Ryu was like the healer, and my HP was only a mere 2,000 more than him.
I only have like yes, that's not supposed to be.
As a tank.
I love the idea of a tank that can be one shot. It's like, wait.
It's like that guy in Raiders of the Lost Ark who just gets shot.
Yeah, like you know who else is a tank who could be one shot? The entire party, I guess.
Actually, well, I know it's not my turn, but like speaking of like equipment like restrictions in 14, I actually tried doing like the Neo X Death fight.
Oh my god!
I couldn't get past the first part because one of the healers in my team also kind of pulled the Lily. So like he kept getting one shot at this one mechanic where you're not supposed to get one shot because you're supposed to survive with little HP, but he just kept getting killed and we can't finish the fight because there's not enough healing.
Sucks.
But like that's like
you're sitting there trying to resurrect him.
No, I'm actually the tank in that fight because that's actually my main job. But like, oh my god, like the difficulty between like the regular and savage versions are just like, holy shit, why is this so hard?
Well, that reminds me of like Phantasy Star Online for the GameCube. Like once you finally, the game's not easy, but once you finally beat easy, like maybe I'll try normal, and then level 1 on normal just like beats the shit out of you. Like you're actually better off playing level 4 on easy 100 more times before you try level 1 on normal. And it's like,
but this is like a team effort too, because like there's like this one. I didn't even get to the Neo X Death part. Like I was still stuck on like the first part of X Death.
Wow. So just to be clear, so this is a special raid. It's like it's a themed raid where they're all final bosses from the final dungeon of Final Fantasy V. And so it starts out where you have to fight X Death, but if you're playing on the regular difficulty, you don't get Neo X Death. You just fight regular X Death.
Is Neo X Death the one that like you showed me a link of a while ago, where he's like tearing through? Like that was the coolest reveal.
So, well, not as cool as the next one. After that, it's Kefka.
Yeah, you fight Kefka, and there's
that really was awesome, a really cool reveal. Yeah, like the pan to him and the theme music playing looked gorgeous, but like just Neo X Death, just like tears open space. Like, you're like, where's Neo X-Death? And then, like,
so
the
where
air
does a
opens and he just
clown
climbs through. You're like,
fit
what?
into the story from a clown from Final Fantasy VII.
That's actually kind of interesting. The idea
He's not a
is,
clown. He's a court mage who wears makeup.
Final Fantasy V, Omega, and Shinryu are in the canon of 14, and the idea is that
Shinryu,
they're the optional bosses of Final Fantasy V.
Oh, okay.
But Shinryu also, like, it shows up a lot in Final Fantasy canon. Like, it's the main villain sort of Dissidia.
Oh, okay.
So it
There's
shows
like
up a lot in
the opposite
in the crossover stuff. So the idea is that Omega, it's like training itself. So it summons these like warriors from other dimensions that only exist in stories.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Final Fantasy 14. So that's why it's got one that's themed after 5, and the next one's themed after 6.
Yeah,
it's basically it's an excuse for fan service.
They'll
Here's
probably
X-Death.
do
Like,
more.
oh, sweet.
So I guess like based on that, I guess the next tier might be Sephiroth since it went 5 and 6.
Yeah,
I wonder what his entrance would look like though, because Kefka's and Neo X-Death's entrances were like.
I know.
Nuts.
Well, like,
I mean, I think if Sephiroth, if they start with the final version of Sephiroth, where it's just like it turns into clouds and you just see him descending from the heavens, that's Sephiroth.
Oh, I was actually picturing him walking through the flames.
Just be like just regular Sephiroth,
yeah,
and then like the extreme hard difficulty will be like
regular Sephiroth. I'm picturing him walking through flames because like you got to do that.
That's only normal Sephiroth.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's when you first meet him. Like the super version is probably
for like Kefka. Like you do fight Kefka, but he doesn't turn to his
until like the harder version.
Yes,
his angelic form looks freaking crazy.
And he's on top of the Warring Triad, the bosses that you fight in Final Fantasy VI. There's like statues of them that stack all the way up to the arena. Where you're fighting.
It's fantastic.
It's exactly like the game.
Yeah.
Oh, also another cool thing is like in the Kefka fight, like when Kefka moves around, he does his Dissidia like run. You know that goofy run? It's like
like the Jonathan Joestar run.
It's like a it's like a trot.
It's like a trot. He's like prancing.
Yeah,
that's great. Does he still have his like?
Yes, he does. He does do that in the beginning of the fight.
Nice.
That was the trailer for 4.2, the patch it was released in. They played like the Dancing Mad music, and then the end they just show his face and the laugh, and then the trailer fades to black.
I hate you.
So,
well, we can move on to Pat.
Luminaire.
I got nothing. Keep going.
You did nothing?
No, I mean, literally, like the
just hanging out on Overwatch, cool Overwatch swag.
Yeah, the Year of the Dog Chinese New Year event for Overwatch came out, so I just did some of that, and then I just been playing Persona 5 the days I'm not working. Which sounds like I play Overwatch at work, which I don't.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something else? No, but I mean, for me, it's kind of similar. Like, now that I actually have papers to grade, I've been doing that, and I've been editing my Let's Plays, but I haven't actually... I don't think I've actually played video games this week. Like,
so you didn't finish Sexy Brutale?
No, I want to see if I can do that. When this podcast comes out, there's a chance that I might have either streamed the night before or maybe we'll stream the night of, but like I want to get on that soon, but I haven't actually streamed or even recorded anything. I think I did one recording of a horror game that I've been wanting to get on for a while, which is like, I love playing horror games and I get a lot of like, oh, you got me moments in those games, but like not too many of them really get under my skin. Like White Day did, Neverending Nightmares did, Original Fatal Frame did, but like it's pretty rare. The one I'm recording, I've only done 2 installments of, so I've been playing it for like an hour, but it's one of those. Nice. So it's actually like genuinely for me scary. Like, I know you guys didn't react to Neverending Nightmares the same way I did at all. You were like, okay, Lotus, calm down. But like, I don't know, that one just got me. But this is another one of those games that just really, just like. The anticipation is just the worst in this game, so we'll see where it goes.
Gotcha. So Mr. Ryu, how much Street Fighter X Tekken have you been playing?
Okay, well, I've not been playing any of those. I've been playing...
But it has Robot Pac-Man in it.
Who the hell cares? I've been playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's where it is.
Who cares? It has wooden Pac-Man robot.
And it has awful American cover art Mega Man.
So, anyways, I've been playing ArcSys and Bandai Namco's new game, Dragon Ball FighterZ.
That's right.
That is an amazing game. It looks beautiful as hell because it uses like the Guilty Gear like style, like
the Guilty Gear
animation.
Yeah.
The Zerd engine.
The Zerd engine. Yeah. Yes, it uses that, but it's Dragon Ball, and it looks amazing. This is the best Dragon Ball game to date in my opinion.
It looks gorgeous.
I'm hoping that they're using the Dragon Ball FighterZ as the prototype for Persona 5 Arena.
But is it? But is it worth as much as Dragon Ball GT Final Bout? That's my
Dragon Ball
question.
GT Final Bout is actually the best Dragon Ball game. I'm sorry.
It's the best because it's worth $100 in 1997 money.
It's just rare.
No,
but it's still a piece of shit.
like back before it got re-released and it got republished later on, so it's not rare anymore.
What about Ultimate Battle 21 or whatever it was called? Best game ever made.
Alright, so aside from Dragon Ball Fighters and I guess Final Fantasy 14, I haven't been doing much.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you count like Necopara.
We don't.
Oh yeah, that actually came out, didn't it?
What?
Wasn't there like a re-release coming out or something?
For PlayStation 4 with like additional scenes, but that's not out yet.
Oh, it's not out yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to play Monster Hunter World with you on PC. I think it's going to be a
honestly,
good time.
like, I am dying because I did not get the PS4 version, but I'm like patiently waiting for patiently
hearing all the things about it.
And I'm just like, I really want to play this game, but I want the PC version.
Yeah.
The PC version.
It's like, why is it delayed all the way to fucking August?
That is a long time.
Yeah, but it should be like the definitive Monster Hunter.
Yeah, that's
experience.
why.
Are they
I was
adding
thinking-
stuff to the PC that's not on PS4?
No, they'll probably have all the DLC that's like been released for the PS4, and
And
also
the graphics will probably be. Well, you'll have more control over the
settings and
yeah.
stuff.
Actually, one of the goofiest like Monster Hunter World collabs was like the Street Fighter V Arcade Edition collab because like the costumes are Ryu and Sakura, but like the costumes are just the models from Street Fighter V.
They also have like a Horizon Zero Dawn
Really?
costume for the cats.
They did?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
but it was only like the first week that the game came out.
All right.
So call me when there's an Animal Crossing collab.
Animal Crossing looks pretty fun, but what I really want to play is Monster Hunter World.
Oh look. Got
Flush
people
that
with
game
taste
right
here.
down the toilet. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm waiting for that as well. Hopefully, that will be a multiplayer game that I actually play.
People are like raving about how like
Yeah.
amazing it is. Like I've played the beta and like the early games, and like I'm just like wanting to play the full game.
Yeah, I heard there were a bunch of gameplay mechanics. One thing I heard that actually, even though I've never played Monster Hunter, it just made me happy, was I didn't even know this, but with older Monster Hunter games, like the thing you use to sharpen your weapon and like the spit that you roast your food on are like
took up inventory.
they're inventory items, and apparently now they're just,
Whetstones too.
yeah, and apparently now they're just considered like key items, like in Resident Evil.
You just have them.
Yeah, like in
don't-
Resident
yeah,
Evil,
and then
Resident Evil
use-
Remake, Jill just always has the lockpick. It's like that. So like, thank you.
It's just like a lot of like huge quality of life changes.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, like, that helps a lot. Like, so, when I tried to get into the earlier Monster Hunter games, beyond, like, the jokes that I make about not liking the game,
Yeah.
you know, the
Okay,
first,
I'll say original try is like terrible for me.
You should play. You should play original PS2.
the first few hours, you know, the game doesn't have really an active tutorial. It just eases you into the
Well,
game.
none of them do. Yeah.
So the first few hours often come across just as really boring because you're not really engaging against any difficult monsters.
Oh, isn't it not
You're
even
not
like?
necessarily learning anything.
Aren't you just like grinding like mushroom? You're not even like hunting monsters in the
You're
really
just
early part.
gathering.
Yeah.
So
Like,
it's kind of
literally
like a
gathering.
test, more not so much a tutorial,
Not
but a test to
hunting
make
and
sure that you're
gathering.
actually willing to put up with the game.
I think I've heard that one, that world is the best one so far, but also the only thing it's missing that would make it like a better game and better for people who want to get into it is just tutorials. Like if it actually had tutorials, it would probably be the end all.
Also
kind of
needs
Monster
Gen
Hunter
Moran.
game.
Actually, like they did a pretty okay job. It doesn't explain everything.
That's the thing. They don't explain everything. Like I was listening to another podcast about people saying that they have like dummies that you can practice the move lists on.
Oh, cool.
But they don't have dummies that you can practice like everything else that you might want to practice on. Like they were saying, it would be great if you had a practice area for everything. Like, hey, give me a big monster that's just a dummy that I can try things with and
Yeah, Godhand
really
had
get
that,
used
actually.
to all
Godhand
the
had a
mechanics of the
dummy.
game. Where it more is just getting used to the combos.
Yeah, I could see having
Doesn't
different
always
terrain,
help.
like running up on top of a cliff and like jumping off and doing a downward like dive attack if you can get away with it, stuff like that. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, if you don't have anything else to add, we can move on to Lotus's week, which you pretty much.
Yeah, that was my week.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been grading papers. I hope you're excited.
We're great with our order here.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
being
yeah,
organized.
Yeah.
Well, you know they don't know the order.
They do now.
They do now.
people who are waiting the entire podcast to hear Lotus's, since he uploads it to his YouTube channel, will be disappointed. That
Yeah, oh, finally, Lotus Prince, like in 2 minutes.
It would be funny.
And
if,
we're already,
the,
like, however,
if,
like,
you know, you
50
can
minutes.
watch the the engagement of the video as a function of the time. And all of a sudden it just drops. After
No, you
realize-
can. You can. Do
Yeah,
that.
I know you can. It's in the analytics, so all of a
Yeah.
sudden you can see that at minute 60. You know,
yeah,
when you announce that you don't have any more to say,
or
it just, like, dies.
Because it's PyroJackFrost.
I was actually going to say,
and you notice it all goes up, and it's like, wow, that's whatever.
Actually, no. On Twitter, somebody was looking at the title card of last week's podcast, and they were like, why is there like Pyro and like PyroJack and Jack Frost from Persona combined? I was like, well, one of our people on a podcast is called PyroJackFrost. He's an SMT fan. They're like him already. Yes.
But how would he not know that? If he did he only just start listening to the?
I don't know. Yeah. But it's still super.
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, I was gonna say I find this week kind of ironic since I usually have the least amount to talk about, saying like I have life getting in the way, so I can't play.
Usually,
I actually have a lot of stuff that I want to talk about.
Not only that, but like this is kind of like
interrupting Pyro.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's the entire opposite of like last week's podcast with 2 people, and there's a ton of people in this one.
Yeah.
So the first thing, I was gonna say it's funny, my usual Grand Blue talk that. Last time I was on, so 2 weeks ago, I mentioned that, I really like it because the story, like, they don't really make it too difficult, so you can probably get through the whole thing without any worry. And I was just grinding through the story. I think they're up to chapter 105 is what they released so far, and I was at, like, up to 90-something. And I was like, cool, this is great. And then, like, the next day, I get chapter 97, and it's hard. And I'm like, it just got up to that part where I can't beat it. And it's really annoying because the normal enemies are really freaking easy, but the bosses are really fucking annoying because they have like insane amounts of health compared to normal enemies, and they do insane amount of damage. But, like, this was a boss that I couldn't like. They have these items that you can just revive your guys to full, and like there you have like a charge bar, and it maxes that out too. But I would have to use like 5 of them to beat the guy, and I'm like, I'm not wasting that many, even though I have 100 of them. I just don't want to.
It just doesn't
waste them.
Oh yeah, the boss fights in that game, like you have to like. Make like an efficient team for like the harder fights.
But it's like they have this star level so you can gauge how strong your party is. And the current chapter I'm on is star level like 25, and I'm at star level 24. So I'm like, I guess I have to just grind again. Also, I've been kind of not playing as often, both because I've just been doing the events and I'm trying to find time to play other games. And also there's a new mobile game because I guess I'm a masochist. I'm a masochist in my time.
Yeah, actually, yeah. My sisters are actually hardcore into Grand Blue. They're playing it every day. They're like at like a top guild right now.
So I mean, I grind. I do all my dailies and everything, but then I just really play for that like hour or so per day. But the other game that I was playing, I don't know. Actually, OldManStompy, I don't know if you know it's out, but there's a new Final Fantasy mobile game.
Dissidia
Opera Omnia, because Square Enix loves their stupid ass titles.
Duodecimal, Lacrimosa Dana.
I actually heard about it.
Duodecimal.
Do you know the Dewey Decimal System?
I actually heard about this game because one of the people that I live with got the new Dissidia game,
NT, right?
Which I'm not. I think I was a huge fan of the original ones because it had a story. In this game, the
NT
story
is all just the arcade.
Yeah, no, I know that,
it's just fighting,
and it's fun to an extent. But like the way that you continue the story is by just beating regular battles, and you get points you can use to spend to see story.
Oh, come on!
So I'm like, but
like,
it was
original Dissidia. Like I could see myself buying and playing through that game, but if that's how NT works, I'll just YouTube the story.
Because in the original 2 games, there was like it's like a board game where you go through different tiles to unlock new things, which was fun. There's treasure chests that you can open, whatever. And there was even a mode that was the labyrinth in the second one, where is really you have like 5 options. You pick one, whether you fight a guy, reveal a card, a job card that might give you better things, an item that you can equip to your characters because you go in with having no equipment and you have to gain the equipment. So it's like a kind of like a roguelike labyrinth.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty fun, but this game is just: do you want to play against the computer? Do you want to play against other players?
Yeah. If the fights themselves don't have any context, then I'll just YouTube the story.
No,
it's not like now it's time to get to this person.
It's a fighting game.
And there's no like in the labyrinth. Even there was some point of playing. Like, I want to just see how far I can get. In this game, they kind of have that, but there's no progression.
Yeah.
Like in the labyrinth, you would get equipment or you would like level up while you're going, but in this there's no levels for your characters. There's no equipment. So you just beat this battle.
Mode.
All right, I'll try to beat this battle. All right, I'll see just how long I can survive, and it was kind of lame. There's like nothing going for it. But that being said, like this was one of my friends' games, but I was looking and there was a code for another Dissidia. I'm like, wait, what is this? And it's like a mobile game. I'm like, oh, I gotta try this out. It's actually pretty fun because, like, you know how in most games they have like stamina system, like Grand Blue has a stamina system, and Record Keeper has stamina.
Right.
In the Dissidia game, there's no stamina. So you can beat the whole game in one day if you want to. And they have all the characters plus more because it's just like there's some 3D characters. They don't have like crazy fighting game system. So that's why, again, I should say that this is Dissidia in the sense that there's HP attacks and Brave attacks, but it's a turn-based game. So it's really cool. So you have 3 characters in your party, and every time that they go, you can say, do I want to attack their Brave, which basically you could say sucks up their attack damage and adds it to your attack damage, or an HP attack, which you do your attack damage to the enemy's HP. So it's like that with a turn-based, so it's really cool. And they have other characters that wouldn't be in Dissidia. Like they have Edge, they have Pinello. I don't know why they want to put Pinello in that game.
Which one was Edge?
She's the second lead from 12.
Yeah, she's Vaughn's friend.
For people who complained about Vaughn being too personality-like because he's supposed to be
even
the
less,
player character,
yeah.
Like she's even less important.
Yeah,
she's not the player character.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Equally
unimportant.
Yeah, because Vaughn,
all of the main characters are the story that the story's about are
like Balthier and Bosch.
Balthier and Bosch is basically just the two. Oh, and Freya too, and Ash. There's everyone but Pinello.
So everybody in the storyline, even Vaughn, has like some minor attachment to the overall.
But Pinello is just to Vaughn. That's it.
But that's the thing. Like Vaughn always bugged me because everyone else was so much more important, but he's the guy you're following. And it's like, why are you here?
So technically,
he never said this is my story.
Well, I think as far as I know, Bosch was supposed to be the main character.
Yeah.
But they didn't think that the people in Japan would want to play as an old guy as the main character, so they made a new character, Vaughn.
It's like the reverse of Nier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that actually. Yeah, we didn't get 360 Nier because like Americans wouldn't like a pretty boy playable character.
But yeah, so Dissidia is fun.
PS3 Nier.
Yeah, we did. I have it.
No, our PS3 Nier.
Oh, yes. It's their 360. Oh, okay.
Their 360 Nier is our everything.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So like Dissidia is a fun game because there's no stamina. They do have stamina for like extras content. And they have like the daily dungeon kind of things, but it's really cool because it's really easy to level, which is great. There's like no restrictions, which I think is nice. And every 2 weeks they release a new character that you can get. So I think it's just a really fun time. But now I'm juggling 2 mobile games.
So actually, when Opera Omnia came out in Record Keeper, they released a Dissidia themed event, and then they like really scaled down for that week and a half for like no particular reason. They like didn't release as much content as they usually release, and the rumor was that they were doing that to give people some time to like try out Opera Omnia and decide if they want to switch, but I didn't.
I'm really hoping that Opera Omnia doesn't like, because the story's pretty short. It's like 5 chapters, which are each like let's say 20 stages long, but eventually they're probably gonna have more stuff in the area that you have to actually have stamina for. So I'm curious what they're gonna do with that. But again, continuing me having done a lot the past couple weeks, I beat Final Fantasy VII, actually.
Hey! How many times did the solar system blow up?
4. I only remember because every single time it was happening, I'm like, God damn it, not again.
It's so
in the
cool.
ending cinematic, did we ever see Vincent in your favorite?
What do you?
The ending cinematic.
I don't think so because you don't have to have them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so in Advent Children, they replay like the final battle as though they were there, right? They actually have like a scene from it where you're fighting Genova Synthesis, and they show Vincent and Yuffie there because they're in the movie, but you never see. I think the PC release of 7 is just an upscaled version of the.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, I had fun with it, and I got to the end. First of all, the North Crater, which is the last dungeon, if you don't know, is really stupid just because the fact of the difficulty spike to that area. Like things just start casting death on you for no reason, and they can kill you in one hit.
And actually, wasn't there an item in the game that like produces a save point, and you're just
you get one.
To
at the very beginning of the North
dungeon.
Crater, you can get one, and you have to like find out the best area to use it.
Yeah.
But it's not like you can teleport from save. So if you got, let's say you put the save point at the best part, which is like 2/3 of the way into the dungeon, and you want to leave, you have to walk all the way back out to get to the.
And if you put it in the beginning of the dungeon, then you got to do the whole dungeon every time you reload. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. How are you supposed to know? Like, I mean, I get the feeling you're like, oh, I should use this before the boss, but like, you don't often know how far you have to go. Like, I mean, you could usually tell like the next room is the boss room.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to put my save point here, final boss.
Well, that's another thing I was going to say that a lot of games do is they have a save point before the final boss.
Yeah.
In this one, like even if you put the save point the latest spot you could put it and not care about the point of no return kind of thing, you have to like jump across rocks to get to Sephiroth. But every rock you jump across, there's a chance you're going to get into a battle.
Oh, come
so
on.
you could save.
A couple of them are scripted. like you have to fight. So there's always an Iron Giant fight. There's always a Dragon Zombie fight, which is like literally the hardest random encounter.
Yeah, and it's just like the fact that you can save and then still have to fight these enemies, so you're not going to be at full power before fighting Sephiroth unless you like remember that you're there and save. And I got to him. I got to the second form, and because he has 2 forms, and I was almost dead because he has this move that brings you down to 1 HP. All your characters to 1 HP, and he used that. And I knew he was almost dead because he uses that when he's below a certain percent health. And I'm like, if I die, I think I'm just gonna say I beat Final Fantasy VII. And I managed to actually I managed to heal my guys, but I didn't have to because like the next attack was like killed him anyway. And I like the nerves that were going on. I'm like, I do not want to have to do this whole thing again. Like that's the one thing. Like I think multi-form bosses are fun, but at the same point, it's like the amount of time you spent getting to that form. If you have to go through that again, this is ridiculous.
But all you had to do for the first one is just cast Knights of the Round, and you're done.
Well, actually, I don't know if you know, because I was looking at a walkthrough on it. You fight Jenova Synthesis before Sephiroth and before second form. For every boss before the final one that you fight, if you use Knights of the Round, it gets harder. The next boss is harder.
Oh, really?
So if you use Knights of the Round to kill Jenova Synthesis, Jehovah.
Well,
it's kind of allegory to that. But if you use Knights of the Round against Jenova, Sephiroth is harder. And if you use Knights of the Round on the first form of Sephiroth, his second form is harder.
Like, I remember the PS one version when I finished it. I just cast Knights of the Round.
Well, I mean, Knights of the Round is just stupidly overpowered anyway.
Yeah,
and
so
if you have it, then you've been grinding for hours and hours and hours.
Also, he's harder for every character you have that's level 99, he gets more HP.
So that was in
That's
the base
something
game.
that
That was in the PS1 game. That is not a new thing for the PC release.
That's something that I disliked. Like I remember when I played Tales of Eternia in college. There's a secret dungeon that you're supposed to be able to get to it in a New Game Plus, but like technically it unlocks when you're in the final dungeon. Like if you make it to the room before the final boss and you back all the way out, you can just go to it. But there's like a super boss there who levels up with you. So if your whole team is level 99, like I don't know if you could beat him. Like you could theoretically, but like it's so.
One of the things,
I think that's the point.
I'm glad I had 2 ribbons going into the Sephiroth battle.
But like you don't want to grind for him. That was the point.
He loves status effects like petrify and poison and all the stupid ones. So I had 2 ribbons luckily, because if I didn't, that would probably have been a much more annoying boss battle.
So actually, that's a similar neat trick to in Tales of the Abyss. There's supposed to be a dungeon and boss that you can only do on New Game Plus. But even in the 3DS version, if you just save, your clear data, and you can continue on in a separate one, and then continue your file from before, that dungeon and boss are unlocked.
Yeah, it's pretty much that. I wonder if
really
at that point is an odd.
In Tales and Tri-Ace style games. So
that might just be on purpose at this point.
All the Star Ocean games have that. Usually, if you get to the final, what actually unlocks the post game stuff is getting to the last save point.
Yeah, that is pretty clever.
Yeah, so I beat that, and then right away I bought 9 and I had to say that
what I
really wanted to play. Yeah. So first of all, I'm glad I replayed 7 because I played it when I was in, let's say, middle school or something. Oh, wow. So it was a while since I actually was paying attention to the story, and I didn't understand it necessarily. Wasn't paying attention as much to it. So I'm glad I played again and understood.
Well, even if you did kind of get it, there's a lot of themes that I think would go. Yeah,
and I'm actually glad I played it after having watched Advent Children, like seeing how it continues to kind of see what they're going towards.
Who would have guessed that they would split Sephiroth into 3 Sephiroths, and then one of them turns into Sephiroth? It's like
after absorbing the cells of Sephiroth.
So
and then
not
Bahamut,
only
does
the Final Fantasy VII story not make sense to begin with, but
it actually makes a lot of sense if you play it again. So the thing is,
it's deep lore, though.
I didn't actually realize until a second playthrough that every single time you encounter Sephiroth from the beginning of the game up to the end is not actually Sephiroth.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's actually Jenova taking form of Sephiroth.
It's like watching Sixth Sense again.
No, if you want to make fun of story, though, Kingdom Hearts... What the fuck is
I was actually telling you,
so... you need to play all the shit games that are in the periphery.
The 3D Dream Drop Distance actually goes and tries to explain a lot of the odd things that don't really make sense in Kingdom Hearts. It does a pretty good job of it, and it's not a bad game.
On one hand, good. On the other hand, I love that they need a game to do that.
I was actually telling my friend that when 3 comes out, he was saying that he's going to replay all the games. I'm like, I'm just going to go on Wikipedia and just read every single page about Kingdom Hearts so I understand what's going on.
If 3 comes out and Luminaire wants to play it, I'll...
in each game going
It's kind of like the Xeno...
I was going to say Xenosaga. It's like, want to read the encyclopedia? Sure. And there's when you first go in, there's like
Metal-
1,000 things, and you're like, what?
Metal Gear Solid 5, you find out one of the major plot points by digging through encyclopedias.
Yeah.
That you find out, I mean, spoiler alert, I guess, but like the series is pretty much over.
I haven't played 5.
I have not played it.
Oh, okay. Alright, well then you dig through the encyclopedia.
I was gonna say, it's kind of like...
I will.
This is not a game that relies on lore as much, but the Neverhood, which is like a puzzle game.
Yeah.
You don't need to know the lore behind it because it's just solving the puzzle to beat. But in the very beginning area, more or less, if you walk in one direction, you see like the history of the world.
That's cool.
And it's like 12 screens long.
Jesus.
I got 6 in reading it. I'm like, I'm actually gonna read this. I'm like, I just want to play the game. But it's like there's that whole story you can read to figure out what the whole point of this game is. But you're like,
well, it's also
nope.
like like Dark Souls. If you just want to play the game, you will get virtually
Yeah.
nothing. But like if you
read
look at
all the items.
yeah, item flavor text. Yeah.
So the counterexample would be Final Fantasy VIII, where the lore is like really deep, and there's a lot of things that make no sense whatsoever that make more sense when you get later in the game, but the story's still really stupid. Like once you learn all those things.
But it's like, so yeah,
I
so
remember even when people beat the game and
Plot
watch the final
dumps.
cutscene, they're like, "What?"
Leon, you're the best looking guy here, and it's just a mess
Yeah,
of
you're a polygonal
squares.
piece of crap.
Chrono Cross also has a huge
Chrono
plot
Cross,
dump.
yeah.
A huge plot dump right at the end.
But at several places before that too.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, that is neat, but I don't know. I enjoyed that game. Up to
I know the combat system was great and the story was okay, but yeah,
It's
the
also
fact that they
incredibly
had to
disappointing that it makes like every subsequent re-release of Chrono Trigger and every game that comes after it makes things worse for the Chrono Trigger cast, which is what people really want, a sequel to Chrono Trigger. Instead they just get several re-releases plus an extra game that just shits all over Chrono Trigger continuously.
And back, at least with Metal Gear Solid 5, that was a lot due to that really bad development.
Yeah.
Not a choice.
It's a proto game.
I heard that there was
It
like a
really
key
is.
part, or maybe even something related to the ending that was just like not in the game.
Maybe if you play Survive, you can find out all the things.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah.
So you played 9?
So I started 9,
That's my
and
favorite.
it's my favorite, and I had to say
Yes.
that when I was playing 7, and I kept saying on the podcast, I can't wait to beat this so I can actually get to 9 because it's my favorite. When I started playing 9, I'm like...
I hate 9.
When I was playing 9, I'm like, yeah, this is my favorite. Like,
There we
everything
go.
about it is great. Like, I love the art style.
Are you gonna play the game?
details.
Are you gonna play the
That's
game
actually my
stupidly
favorite
fast so
Final
you can
Fantasy
get
as
that?
well.
Yes.
No, I
Super
don't. So first of all, like I was
9
saying, you
blows.
can turn off battles in 9, so it makes it easier to get to that. But
Oh,
no,
the new version?
the PC version.
Because with PS1 version, you'd have to like open
My
the lid of your
favorite is
PS1 to
Chocobo's
kill the
Dungeon
clock.
2.
Chocobo Hot and Cold is the best side game
Yeah.
in any.
And I actually
fun
like Tetramaster way better than Triple Triad.
I like Triple Triad more, but I like the fact that in Tetramaster, like your cards actually level up, and it's
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
interesting.
I've
yeah.
never seen that. I
These
saw a bunch
obnoxious
of Triple
rules
Triad.
that you have to like navigate.
Yeah.
What I always felt bad about with Triple Triad, though, was that there were unique cards, which were super cool, but you don't want to use them because then they're gone. Like, now I no longer
But sometimes
have,
you
like...
have to.
This is
I
actually
know.
going back to when I lost my save in 8. I remember why now. In Fisherman's Horizon,
Yeah.
there's a character that you can beat to get a certain card.
Right.
And I kept reloading my save to get to him. And for some reason, when I went to reload it once, the save wasn't there. And I'm like, nope, I'm done.
No.
So I think one of those is the character you have to lose a card to,
Mm.
and then he'll start playing with a card you need to get, and then he'll lose that card to somebody else. So you have to go get your
Oh
card.
my
back from
god,
somebody
that's...
else.
I remember by the end of the game, our friend Perry was like, he went to that one girl who could just change the universe's rules. Like, in this region, I want this rule to apply. And he was just manipulating the game, like, across the globe, and going to that city and playing the way he wanted. It's like... Triple Triad is like a whole other game inside Final Fantasy. There's like so much going on.
9 is amazing, and then I'm going to say that, because I always say this every single podcast, I still did not get a chance to go back into 14. Now that the rest of the 14 group is here.
Now that everybody is ahead of you. In the
I'm
game.
like
Yes.
end game now.
We can carry you.
I can like just chill.
Yeah, so I will play that eventually.
I will say
Again.
the only thing of FF14 I've actually seen,
Is
other than
the X-Death battle.
No,
well, I saw a little
yeah.
bit of that on a video, but like
So you've seen it.
I've actually seen in person. I've actually seen in person as a being played. But like other than Mr. Ryu just running around the hub world or whatever, I saw him do like one dungeon which had Yojimbo as the boss.
Mm.
And
Oh,
Yojimbo's
actually-
super badass. What?
You know the
Yojimbo's
funniest
always
thing
super
for like
badass.
when I was like kind of reviewing the like Neo XF fight, there's like a 2 parts video for like the fights. The first phase is like only 7 minutes long. Then like for the Neo X Death video, it was like 17 minutes long. I was
Jesus.
like, oh my god, like how many
But-
mechanics do I have to remember?
That's the one reason, like, when I would ever get to a dungeon where I knew I had to do one of the summon bosses, I would always be like, I think I'm done for the night. Because I know it's like a commitment. like sometimes it could be depending on if you're getting
like,
carried. It could
the
be
normal story scenario things. Like they're not that bad.
Depends on who you're playing with.
Okay, yeah, it depends who you're
playing. If you're playing with like randoms, then it could be.
Usually it's not horrible.
It's not horrible, but if you're talking about like the really hard stuff, that's terrible.
No, but the reason I brought up Yojimbo is he was first from 10, right?
He was from 10, yeah.
You know his gimmick is that once you summon him, you gotta pay him to do anything. Have you seen him in 14?
In the first place.
He's sweet in 14 because like the premise of the fight is that he's being hired by like an NPC who's like the boss of the dungeon who's just Yojimbo, go get him. So it's just really cool because every once in a while in the fight, Yojimbo's like, you gonna pay me? And the guy's like, sure, and money just rains down everywhere. And I don't think, do you get money when you pick it up?
No, you don't get money.
Yeah, so
you just have to pick it up.
You have to collect all the money because whatever.
Oh, the more he gets, the more damage he does.
Yeah, and if you just sit there and don't collect anything, then he'll one shot you like with Zantetskin or something. But like as you collect money. Like, I don't know if anyone knows it's possible to get all of it, but you can get most of it, and then Yojimbo's like, alright, time for my
No, you do get all of it.
You can get all of it?
It's just like between 4 players.
Okay, yeah, I think I started doing it with like 2 or something. But yeah, so you try to get as much money as you can, so Yojimbo doesn't get it, so he'll be like, oh, I have this much? Okay, and he'll do like a full screen attack that does a bunch of damage to you, and it's really cool, because if you survive, the boss is like, why are they still alive? And Jim was like, if you wanted me to do better, then you should have paid me better. But I also love the concept that you can't beat Yojimbo, because like eventually he's just like, well, I guess this
I don't have enough money.
Yeah, this fight's over. Like the premise is Yojimbo. If Yojimbo really, really wanted to kill you, he could. Yeah. And like every time you fight him, he just doesn't because he's dissatisfied with his pay. Like it's freaking crazy.
Final Fantasy X too. That Yojimbo, if you give him enough money, will beat literally everything in the game.
Yeah. So it's just really cool that he's like, this money's pretty good. I'll do a heavy attack. If it kills him, great. And like it doesn't. Oh well. Like, guess you should have paid me better. It's just really amusing to me.
Yeah, that's everything that I've done.
Like the end from slots in like FF8 or something.
Oh, no, that's
it's not even just instant kill, it's instant win. It's a different mechanic.
Oh, that's right, there's no HP. No, I've seen that. You teleport to a field or whatever, and an enemy just dies?
Yeah.
Like, there's no HP or anything. It's like, whoa.
Same with FF10. There's just a boss where it's not, it kills all, it's instant game over. It transcends.
Oh yeah.
It goes
no,
right
I remember
past
that the first time I'd ever seen Odin, because I know Odin's been around. Like Odin, I've seen in FF5 where you got to beat him in like 5 minutes or something. But in FF8, that was the first time I saw him, and my friend Perry was playing. And you have to beat his whole dungeon in like 30 minutes or something. And when you finally get to Odin, it's just like the FF5 fight. He just doesn't fight you. So the more you fight him, the more nervous you're getting. It's just like, I hope I kill him soon because his timer's going down. And we didn't know like Final Fantasy lore back then, so we're just like, what's going to happen when the timer reaches 0? And he just does Zantetskin. We're like, that attack looks cool, but like instead of the characters dropping dead, they do that thing where they get like anime cut in half, and we're like, what the fuck? Like, that's just game over. We're like, what?
We just call that game cut in half.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So having said that, we could do a couple questions here. We'll probably going to split this episode into two because of that. So we'll move on to do a few questions. So and that's Corrective Consciousness for this week. We will catch you on Thursday for our normal question and answer segment. Catch ya.